Picture this, it's January 2026. A sleek cargo ship, about the size of a school bus, makes a soft landing near the moon's south pole. But this isn't a government mission like Apollo, it's a private mining company. And they're not here to plant flags, they're here to stake claims. Before you can even process that, within 48 hours, 3 more landers touch down. They're from different companies, backed by different countries, all converging on the very same crater. They all after the same prize, the vast deposits of water ice hidden in the lunar shadows. This isn't just science, it's a fortune waiting to be extracted. Now, here's the thing that keeps space lawyers awake at night, staring at their ceilings. There is no global treaty that actually settles who owns what up there. The Outer Space Treaty of 1967 says space is for everyone. But let's rewind for a second. Why now? Why is everyone suddenly obsessed with the moon? For decades, the moon was basically a tourist destination. We went there, took some photos, collected rocks, and left. It was expensive, it was dangerous, and honestly, didn't really seem worth it. But then we discovered something that completely changed the game. Water ice, and lots of it, hiding in permanently shadowed craters near the lunar poles. Now, I know what you're thinking. Water, that's it. That's what all the fuss is about. But here's where it gets really interesting. Water on the moon isn't just for drinking, it's rocket fuel. You see, if you split HO into hydrogen and oxygen, boom, you've got This means the moon could become the universe's first gas station. Imagine a refueling depot for missions to Mars, the asteroid belt, and beyond. Suddenly, the moon isn't the destination anymore, it's the gateway, the pit stop, the single most strategic point for accessing the entire solar system. And if you control the water, you control access to space. NASA figured this out. So did China's space agency SpaceX Blue Origin. Even companies you've never heard of are getting into the game. By 2026, at least 7 different missions are targeting the lunar south pole. And they're not just going for science, they're going for business. This is where things start to get wild. The last time we made any international space law was way back in 1967. It's called the Outer Space Treaty. And that treaty basically says, no country can claim the moon. Space belongs to all humanity. Sounds nice, right? Very optimistic. But there's a loophole. You could drive a lunar rover straight through. The treaty says countries can't own celestial bodies, but it says nothing about private companies or resource extraction. It doesn't specify who gets to mine what, where, when, or how much. So in 2020, NASA did something controversial. They created the Artemis Accords. Basically, a new set of guidelines that says, if you extract resources from the moon, you can keep them. And get this, over 40 countries have already signed it, including Japan, Canada, and most of Europe. But you know who didn't sign? Russia and China. They're writing their own rules, building their own coalition, and planning their own moon base. And they've made it pretty clear, they're not asking NASA for permission. We are entering a new space race. But this time, the prize isn't a flag, it's the future of humanity in the cosmos. So, who's actually racing to the moon right now? Forget what you learned in history class. This is a completely different ballgame. First, you've got the old champion, NASA, with its Artemis program. The goal is to land astronauts on the moon by late 2026 or 2027, but they're not just planting a flag and coming home. They plan to build a permanent base camp and essentially become the long-term residents of the lunar south pole. To get there, they've teamed up with SpaceX, who are developing the massive Starship lunar lander. You know, the same rocket that's supposed to eventually take humans to Mars. So, yeah, no pressure at all. Then, across the globe, there's China. And let me tell you, they are serious contenders. They've already achieved something NASA never has. Multiple successful landings on the far side of the moon. They've brought back samples, tested out rovers, and have big plans. They've announced an international lunar research station, partnering with Russia and others, aiming for completion around 2035. But get this, their first permanent habitat could be up and running as early as 2028. But here's where it gets really interesting. China isn't just focused on science, they're openly talking about lunar mining. And it's not just governments anymore. Private companies are jumping in headfirst. Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin wants to build lunar infrastructure. Startups like iSpace and Astrobotic are busy creating the tech needed for mining. Even Nokia is involved, designing a 4G network for the moon. I guess even future lunar colonists will need to stream their favorite shows. Now, here's the real source of tension. All these players, NASA, China, and private companies, are all aiming for the exact same tiny patches of real estate near the moon's south pole. Why there? Because that's where the water is, frozen in permanently shadowed craters. The problem is, there aren't many of these prime spots, and they definitely can't all fit. Think about it like this. Imagine every major oil company on Earth decided to drill in the same square mile of Texas, all at the same time, but with no laws or police to keep things in order. That's pretty much what's about to unfold, 240,000 miles away from home. Space policy experts are calling it a celestial land grab, and it's happening much faster than any of us expected. Have you ever wondered what happens when 2 rovers from competing nations show up at the same crater on the moon? It's not a joke. It's a very real question for the near future. Who backs down? Who gets priority? There's no traffic control up there, no universal right-of-way rules, and definitely no cosmic version of the United Nations that can actually enforce anything. Let me paint you a picture. It's S2027. An American mining robot is busy extracting precious water ice from Shackleton Crater at the lunar South Pole. Suddenly, a Chinese rover rolls up and starts surveying the exact same area. Their operations start to interfere with each other. Communication breaks down. What happens next? Back on Earth, things get heated. Both governments claim they were there first. Both claim operational rights to the resources. Neither one wants to appear weak on the global stage. Tensions escalate, and suddenly, a dispute over a patch of lunar dust becomes a major international incident. Does this sound a little far-fetched? Well, it almost happened right here on Earth, in Antarctica. In the early 1900s, multiple countries rushed to claim territory on the icy continent. It got so messy and competitive that by 1961 they had to sign the Antarctic Treaty just to prevent conflict and militarization. And here's the kicker. The Outer Space Treaty, which governs activities in space, was literally modeled after the Antarctic Treaty. But there's a huge difference. Antarctica doesn't have trillions of dollars in mineable resources like helium-3 and rare earth metals. And no one is planning on building a permanent gateway to another planet there. The stakes on the moon are infinitely higher. The ambiguity in the existing laws is deeper, and the consequences of conflict in space, they don't just stay in space. Let's talk about orbital debris. If tensions on the moon were to lead to any kind of confrontation, say, one country disabling another's satellite, we could trigger something called the Kessler syndrome. This is a terrifying domino effect, a runaway cascade of collisions that pollutes entire orbital zones with shrapnel, making them completely unusable. What does that mean for us down here? It means no GPS, no accurate weather forecasting, no global satellite communications, your phone, your internet, your bank transactions. So much of our modern civilization would grind to a halt. Suddenly, that little fender bender between two rovers on the moon doesn't seem so small anymore, does it? So yeah, lunar politics matter a lot. It's not just about science fiction. It's about the very real infrastructure that supports our daily lives. But it's not all doom and gloom. There is another path forward. What if this looming crisis becomes the catalyst for something amazing? So here we are, standing at the edge of a new era. 2026 is right around the corner, and whether we're ready or not, the lunar economy is coming. But who will control it? Honestly, nobody knows yet. That's what makes this moment so fascinating and so incredibly dangerous. Will it be NASA and the Artemis Coalition, planting the seeds of international cooperation? Will it be China, executing a methodical, long-term strategy while others fumble? Or will it be some scrappy private company that moves fast and breaks things, maybe even literally? Here's what I think. The country or coalition that controls the moon's resources unjust dominate space exploration. They'll shape the next century of human civilization. Because access to space means access to unlimited resources, unlimited energy, unlimited potential. The moon is the ultimate high ground, and throughout human history, whoever controls the high ground writes the rules. But there's something that gives me hope. Space has this weird way of bringing out both the best and the worst in us. Yes, there's competition, fierce rivalry, and national pride. But there's also inspiration, a sense of wonder, and the profound realization that we're all just inhabitants of this tiny blue marble, looking up at the same stars. Maybe, just maybe, the race to control the moon will remind us that we're far better off working together than fighting over craters. Or perhaps I'm just an optimist. Either way, 2026 is going to be one hell of a year, and you're going to want to watch what happens next. So what do you think? Are we heading toward a new era of cooperation in space, or a cosmic Wild West where anything goes? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want to stay updated on how this lunar drama unfolds, hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, this story is just getting started. Thanks for watching, and remember to look up. The future is being written right now, 240,000 miles above your head. I'll see you in the next one.